Howdy, everyone. Welcome into the TexAgs Rewind. Nick Savage here, and also with me,
Luke Evangelist.
Luke. What do we have on the show today?
Oh, we had Billy Liucci.
You don't know, do
and
you?
it's in OB.
Yeah.
OB was on. He was great.
Who's that on the screen?
Brawny's
on there.
And
did we have fun today?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Kind of. I hope you have fun watching the Rewind. Check it out.
Here we are on a Monday. By the way, I'd like to welcome the entire SEC who's watching the show today, and the Texas Longhorn fans that are watching, and everybody else watching because they love Aggie misery. Buddy, a disappointing weekend is. There's no sugarcoating. This has been. We'll talk about it. Since I've been at TexAgs, I think this is the most disappointing season. I've only been at TexAgs 4 seasons, right? But I've been an Aggie basically since I was 7 years old. And I know there's a couple other seasons we can discuss, but it feels like the most disappointing sports season, at least since I've been in the media for A&M sports. I know the 2002-2003 year was terrible. I know there's some others we can discuss, maybe because I live it every day.
Yeah, I think it's what it is.
And some people say, what about 22-23? I think that was a terrible year too. Don't get me wrong. But there's a theme in all of this, OB, and we'll talk about it throughout the show. It's called not finishing.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did finish.
Not finishing the way we want them to. How about that?
That's for sure. Look, when you're in big games, sometimes we've all seen it. An obscure or a lesser player, a role player, breaks out. Mm-hmm. But typically, when you're in big games, in big moments, your star players have to play like star players. Yeah. And that did not happen this year in baseball. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen this weekend in softball.
Right.
You know, I mean, you had a chance you had the lead late in the game, and you couldn't hold it. And I think that's 2 games that they lost to Liberty, that they had the lead and couldn't hold it. So there you go.
Yeah, not the best weekend for Emily Kennedy, not the best weekend for A&M softball and women's tennis. I'm not mad at them, by the way. Congratulations on a phenomenal season.
Losing the national championship.
Lose to a rival that you guys have gone toe-to-toe the last few years. Yeah. So congratulations to Mark Weaver and the women's tennis team. I know they finished short of what their goal and their dream was, but it's still a fantastic year. In the big picture of things, what has happened on Diamond Sports this year is, I mean, I wouldn't have believed it, thank you, had I read it before the season. Maybe I would have believed it.
Might be the best start in Texas A&M's SEC history. You know, you can talk about the Kyle Simons no-hitter, but considering that lineup at that ballpark, it was one of the best outings I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to think back and not. Since I've been here, we've had some really good pitchers, and I don't want to discredit anything they've done or be prisoner of the moment. But I can't remember one better than that. Maybe Prager against Arkansas in that night game last year was similar. But when you take in the factors, which the ballpark and the wind do matter at a place like that, and playing them where you can throw the ball out from home plate out to the outfield. It's a really good place to hit, and a team that has a bunch of home runs, for him to just only give up no runs, 15 strikeouts, and it was incredible. It was, I think, in the 6th or 7th, I said, who's moving around down there? And JK said Moss and someone else, and I said, I just think we probably need to sit him down. It looks like this is this guy's game, and there was just no thought of going to anyone else. You know how it is when you see an outing like that, you get a feeling of just control, and he had it, man. And that's just who that kid is. He's been just a constant professional since his day he's been here. His demeanor, nothing's changed. He's just grown confidence, grown better, got stronger, works extremely hard. I think I said it to Monaco before the game, before he even pitched. I'm really confident that Justin Lampkin's going to be a big leaguer. And it's because all the things, all the combinations. So having a guy like that on our team and having the guts he had to go out there and perform like that when we needed him just says everything you need to know about that kid.
Coach Earley, after having some lean weekends offensively, do you feel like the team has turned the corner with the 7 home runs over the weekend and cutting down the strikeouts from game 1 to the rest of the series?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I like to hope so. I think guys continue to work and make adjustments, and you're never a finished product in baseball. I don't know if you ever completely fix it or you're done fixing it, or you're always going to have to go back and someone's always going to be struggling with something. But I think our confidence is in a solid spot, and we're just going to have to, at a ballpark like Hoover Met, you're going to have to stay on baseballs, low line drives, be able to bunt when we need to bunt if we have the opportunity. We don't have a ton of runners, so stealing bases isn't necessarily something. We're just going to have to get creative if the game allows us, and we need to get on base to put pressure on the other team, especially in a ballpark like this where you're not traditionally, you don't slug and hit baseballs out of the park.
So how does Aggie baseball make it interesting? Like, is it?
I think
do they have to win the whole thing? Do they have to win 3
games? Win the
games?
whole thing, obviously you're in. I think if you win the first 3, then you're going to start seeing Texas A&M go back on that bubble conversation. And why that is important is because there's still some cachet with this team, with this program, starting the year number 1, playing in the finals last year,
beating really good teams this year too.
If they win 3, they'll have beaten 3 really good teams in Hoover. And I think there's some intrigue there that the committee would at least discuss heavily. I'm not saying that A&M would get a gift by the committee, by no means. But what I'm saying is I think 3 kind of gets you back on the table. I was talking to Kendall, and you'll have him on tomorrow, I'm sure. He thinks if they get to Saturday, they got a real shot. That means they have to win 4 in Hoover. And that's a tall task. This team, I don't know if they've won 4 in a row.
I don't know if they've won 4 in a row
all season. Maybe you'd have to go one of those weeks where they won maybe the Tennessee the midweek and then the Friday of the next week, because that was Arkansas. Yeah, that might have been a 4-game stretch there. But yeah, it's a tall task, and how they manage it on the pitching side is going to be super interesting. One thing I do want to say this. There was a disgusting thread on Saturday that involved a lot of personal attacks on a Texas A&M coach on the baseball team. A lot of it was deleted and cleaned up by moderation, and I'm glad that they did. But for people to make personal attacks because they can't get out of their own emotions because they're just mad that Texas A&M lost. That's it. All I know is I'm mad, and I'm going to react with the emotional stability of an 11-year-old that I'm going to try to publicly shame somebody for the way they look and somehow tie that and associate that with their capability to do a job. Disgusting.
Yeah, I agree.
And disgusting behavior. And the only reason you do that is because you're behind an anonymous username. That's cowardly and it's spineless, and I wish it won't end, because that's the kind of online toxic culture that goes on nowadays. Everybody will hide behind burners or hide behind usernames, but that is disgusting. And if you're an Aggie and you supposedly we hold ourselves to a higher standard with how we interact with fellow Aggies, that is disgusting of the utmost order.
If you're being real, and people, they circulate a clip from me saying last week how good Trish Ford is. This team, this was a letdown this weekend. They were a disappointment. I thought Liberty was really good. I went to both games yesterday. That was a fun day of college sports to watch right up until it wasn't. But, it's a disappointing result. It's never happened where the 1 seed has lost in their region. It's 20-year plus. You sit there and go, well, might be kind of recent the way no, it's 20 years. It's a long time for something to never happen. So there's no way to dance around the disappointment. I don't think anyone in maroon and white in that program would come in here and say that wasn't bitterly disappointing and something that's going to linger for them for a long time, because they did. I wasn't wrong and you weren't wrong, and no one was wrong in saying they had a chance to do something really special, but instead they did something. Liberty did something more special.
Well, they did something memorable for the wrong reason.
Well, it's forgettable. It's regrettable, but it's not forgettable. That's the problem. I think that one will linger until they win one. And it is sports. So there's 2 conversations to be had here. One is about softball and women's tennis and these sports that are really good and ascending and look like A&M will be in the playoff national championship conversation for a while. This team, I know it feels silly to say they won the SEC tournament championship, especially today, and they had that stupid split because of the weather. But the weather also kept them from sharing the regular season title, which would have actually been legit. It's not like a tournament being cut short. In 3 years, what she's done, you're a dumbass if you don't see that program really rising up. Today is a low day for them, and they shouldn't have lost that series. Do I think the softball should seed 1-32? Do I think A&M should have the 32nd team in their regional? Liberty would have been much higher. Sure, doesn't matter. You got a tough draw. You're playing at home. You're a great team. You went through the whole SEC. They should have won. And I was still a little surprised they didn't walk the Roop girl, 21 home runs, hitting 390 with that base open. She hits the bomb, but that's baseball. That's softball. That's what you're always going to second guess decisions when they don't work. They pitched to her in the first game in that situation and got away with it. So it is the softball conversation is, here it is, devastating loss, extremely disappointing. We'll never know what they left on the table this year. They'll never know. But in women's tennis, look, Georgia was the better team this year. They beat them 3 out of 4. A&M was the second best team in the sport. Like Aggies, I think, are second they're going to finish second in the SEC, kind of in the all sports thing. It's a distant second to Texas. That's another conversation to be had if we have time for it today. It's a distant second, but they're second out of 16.
All right, Luke, pick somebody in the room and tell them what to do.
I'm going to Jake. Jake, tell the people what to do.
What do I do after I watch a YouTube video?
Yeah.
I go to the next one. I don't know.
That's good enough. Watch all of our rewinds. Thanks. Bye.